We spend massive amounts of time and money trying to hack our way out of stress. We download meditation apps, optimize our sleep schedules, and chase the next productivity trend, hoping to finally outrun anxiety. But the underlying discomfort always creeps back in. Ancient Indian philosophers operated as a board of expert consultants, diagnosing a specific critical bug in human perception. Their opening thesis, specifically outlined in the Sankhya Darshan, is blunt. The entire ultimate objective of human life is to ensure that 3 specific types of suffering, known as trivita dukkha, are permanently eradicated, and their proposed cure relies on exactly 0 blind faith. Escaping this suffering requires a cold, flawless understanding of how the physical and psychological properties of the universe actually operate. Ending human pain doesn't happen by accident or through wishful thinking. It requires a master blueprint of reality. This is the title page of the Vaisheshik Darshan. It represents the first layer of our blueprint, material reality. Guided by Maharishi Kanad, this school argues that you cannot cure suffering without first mapping out the strict laws of physical matter. Kanad introduces the concept of vishesha, or particularity. He insists that to understand the world, you have to stop looking at objects as solid, permanent wholes. You have to start breaking everything down to observe the distinct, microscopic atomic differences between all substances. If you ignore these tiny, distinct differences, your brain takes a shortcut. You start attaching your identity and happiness to large physical objects, wealth, status, material goods. Because all physical matter eventually breaks down and changes, tying your permanent happiness to temporary matter mathematically guarantees you will suffer. Mastering the physics of how things break apart is your first line of defense against the delusion that worldly things can save you. But physical matter is only half the equation. The blueprint shifts to the mechanics of the mind, where the Sankhya framework lays out an entirely mechanical explanation for human consciousness. Sankhya argues the mind is governed by 3 fundamental properties, or strings of nature: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Every human emotion, from joy to heavy sorrow, is simply a mechanical reaction of these 3 strings interacting in different proportions. By learning to recognize these mechanical reactions in real time, you gain the ability to step back. You stop being the anger or the anxiety and start observing the chemical and mechanical process happening inside your own hardware. Psychological suffering stops being a personal failing. It becomes a highly predictable process that you can observe, measure, and ultimately override. How can we actually prove any of these physical and psychological theories are true? This is where the Mimamsa school enters the consultation, bringing an absolute obsession with logic. Looking at this text outlining the various philosophical proofs, we see a heavy focus on Pramanas. These are the strict logical tools, like direct perception and mathematical inference, required to validate any claim about reality. Thinkers like Maharishi Jaimini used these strict tools to synchronize the physical world we see with the invisible forces we don't. He demanded that our daily actions perfectly match our logical conclusions. According to this historical passage, that logic was applied radically in practices like the Vishvajit Yagya. This was an exercise requiring a person to literally give away their entire property and wealth, testing their logical understanding of detachment in the real world. This ancient directive of extreme detachment sits in sharp contrast to the historical reality of kings and rulers who spent their entire lives violently accumulating land, status, and massive piles of material wealth. Identifying the truth is useless if it stays in your head. True epistemology requires taking a wrecking ball to your own attachments and altering your physical life to align with the facts. Theory, logic alone will not cure the human condition. They have to be actively installed into the body. For that installation, we turn to the frameworks of yoga and Jain philosophy. They provide the strict operational mechanics of dhyana, or meditation. Meditation demands a specific progression. It begins with vitarka, a superficial, outward focus on a physical object. Through discipline, it transitions into vichar, a deep, seamless internal flow of concentrated thought. Meditation functions as an active, mechanical process, upgrading the mind's ability to perceive the physical and logical truths established earlier. For ordinary working people, known as Shravaks, this high-level logic dictated highly specific everyday economic rules. This text lists forbidden livelihoods that cause environmental suffering. It advises entirely avoiding Angar karma, making coal, and Vana karma, mass deforestation. Further down, it restricts Svat karma, using explosives for mining. The philosophy demands your paycheck doesn't rely on actions that destroy the physical world. Building to a conclusion. The consultation is complete. Kanad maps the physical reality. Sankhya explains the psychological machinery. Mimamsa provides the logical proof. And yoga delivers the daily application. True liberation has nothing to do with magic. It is the hard-earned result of decoding the exact properties of reality and flawlessly aligning your daily actions with that truth.